coming into your all fours square box position. I might just tuck this in for the moment. So we're going to take some knee circles from here. So you're really nice and square, hands underneath your shoulders, fingers and thumbs spread apart, knees underneath the hips. And we're just going to release one knee enough so that you can circle the knee. And it's a little bit weird that my foot is really relaxed. So think of this leg, this thigh, like a pendulum, and then place that down and try the other side. So just play about with it, release the knee, circle the knee around. Think of your kneecap drawing a golf ball sized circle, and try and let the foot be relaxed. Coming back to the centre. So what you want to try and avoid as you do this, so if I come really square to the camera, when you release one knee, your tendency will want to sway over to the other side. Try not to let that happen. Try not, so I'm doing the other side, try not to have any change in your position. So this is me on all fours. I can see the gaps either side of my arms and my hips. I'm releasing the leg, I'm circling the leg, but there's no change, there's no shifting and nothing going on in the shoulders. That's our goal. So let's do that again. So we're going to do 2 sets of 10, so 5 in each direction, small circles first, alternating, and then we're going to take a much bigger circle, so more of a sort of football sized circle. Same thing, keeping the body absolutely still. When we do the second set, we'll place the opposite hand on the chest. So here we go. So probably, it doesn't matter which leg you're going on first. So make sure you're very aware of you're equally weighted over your hands and both knees. Release that knee, no change in your body. Golf ball sized circles. Quite small, between 5 and 8 in each direction. Think about the back of the neck, keep it nice and long. Place that knee down. Notice as you change to the other side. Is there a big shift? Hopefully not. Circling, golf ball size at the kneecap. And change direction. So quite hard to relax the foot, relax the lower leg, but make the action happen in the knee. Okay, back to your first leg. So now we're going much more football size. Imagine opposite your hip, the hip bone is drawing a line down to the mat, and that is the centre of your circle. Do 5 or so in each direction. Try and keep the foot relaxed. It's very weird, you sort of get caught up on the mat. And then go back to your first direction, and if you can, this is quite strong, take the opposite hand away and just place it on your chest. Again, 5 or so in each direction. Nice big circle. And swap sides. So circle on its own. I'm imagining a football. It's not quite as big as a football, but quite a contrast compared to the golf ball. Keep the foot relaxed. Notice one side is easier than the other. One direction is easier than the other. Go again. 2 sets of 5 in each direction. Take the opposite hand away. So this for me is easier to stabilise on this side. So my other hip is doing a better job of stabilising. Changing direction, nice big circles, great, and back onto all fours, wonderful. Okay, sitting forwards. While we're just thinking about the next movement, just taking some twiddles with the hands, circling. So we're going to take some seated C-curve. Into some abdominal rocking. into single leg stretch and double leg stretch. So we want to try and just keep the flow of this if we can. I just realised my hair looks like I've got a helmet on. So hands underneath the backs of the knees, sitting really nice and upright. Tuck that lower back under, round the pelvis, and then staying rounded until your shoulders are over your hips. Sit nice and tall. Let's lift the chest as well. Let's try and flow this a little bit. So seated through a neutral spine, tuck the pelvis under. Try and resist actually lowering too much. Then going back, stay scooped in that tummy. Shoulders over the hips, still rounded. Now sit tall, lift the chest and looking up to the ceiling, and maybe going back a little bit more. Coming through your neutral. Let's do 2 more. Scoop the tummy. Pull everything in. Staying rounded. Shoulders over the hips. Sit tall, lengthen, go up and over. And last one. Rounded. And come forwards, sitting tall, lift the chest. Brilliant. Then we are going to take that rounded position again. Carry on in that rounded position all the way down to the floor. But now let your lower legs hang. Straighten out your arms if that works for your proportions. Essentially my spine is still in the same curve. It's like the legs of a rocking chair, rocking horse. And then I'm just going to fix everything. Fixing all the gaps, fixing all the angles. So your arms might be bent, but keep them bent at the same angle. This is strong work. So abdominal rocking. I'm not sitting up, I'm just keeping that spine in that same shape. Good, let's stay up nice and high. Let's hug one knee in. Extend the other leg along the floor. Let's point the feet for this exercise. I've been a bit relaxed with my feet today. So I'm hanging on to the top of that knee. I haven't really got time to interlace fingers, but I'm using that lift of that knee. Pulling the knee in towards my shoulder. The shin is parallel to the floor. The other leg is parallel to the floor. The feet are at the same height. Swapping over, let's hold this here, let's check this position. Draw the knee in, keep it nice and parallel, no turning out. Draw the knee in, shin is parallel, other leg is beautifully straight, feet are pointed, feet are at the same height. I'm hanging on to this leg for dear life to keep my upper body up. I'm trying to get my chin, my forehead onto that knee, and then swapping, and swapping. And swapping. No change in the body whatsoever. Breath out. So single leg stretch. Keeping that back in your curve. Imprinted in the lower back. Staying upright. Not upright, but staying up in that upper body. No change. Okay, grand finale, hugging both knees in. We're extending, arms out, arms up even, and legs out, and coming back into that tight ball. Arms are up, actually. Circle them round and hug in, and extend out. Arms are up, still in your periphery vision. Try and take a circle round. Hang on to those knees when you come back in. 4 more. Breath out. 2 more. Last one. Whoo, and relax down. Oh, good job. Release that. Just going to let my head roll from side to side. So strong work on the neck when you haven't got that support of your head and your hands. But well done if you manage that. Let's take some mobilising of the hips. yeah, before we do some bridges. So just coming into your base position, feet and knees hip width apart, arms down by the side. Let's just drop, so yeah, feet and knees hip width apart, spine in its neutral, nice and relaxed. Drop one leg out to the side and straighten it along the mat, and then just bring it back in again. And then swap to the other side. Drop the knee out to the side, straighten, draw it back in. So we're turning the leg out. Maybe put your hands on your hips, create spatulas with your fingers, elbows on the floor. So turning the leg out but not allowing the hips to rotate with you for now. Just try and keep the hips fairly still, but quite relaxed in that hip socket. So another nice mobilising exercise for the hips. Doing quite a lot of work today. The next couple of exercises will be strengthening, but this is all mobilising, lubricating the joint. But also making the side that's not moving, making that side do the work by trying to keep the pelvis stable. Let's go, both legs at the same time. So both knees drop out, you straighten the legs. Just going to go up a little bit, otherwise I'm going to get caught up on my mat. So sorry, from there, straight, both knees out to the side at the same time. Straighten the legs. As you come in this time, turn the legs in. This isn't going to work on my yoga mat, I don't think. So bring the feet together. So when you turn the legs in, knees are together, feet are apart. Then you bring your feet together. So knees out, straighten the legs, turn the legs in. Bringing my mat with me. Maybe I'll take it out again as I go out. Yeah. There. That's quite annoying actually. I'm going to go get that out of the way. So opening out, straightening the legs, and that's better. You can move now. Brilliant. Let's reverse it. Open the legs out when they're straight. Turn them out, sorry. Bring the feet back together. Knees are out to the side. Bring the legs together. As you straighten your leg, roll the knees in, feet go out. Turn the legs out. So quite relaxed. Nice and even. Brilliant. Okay, let's come back into a nice straight bridge. So, from your base position, pushing those heels down. So the bridge is a brilliant exercise for strengthening the back line of your body, particularly your glutes or your buttocks and your hips. So but we're going to take a straight bridge. So nice strong push down through the feet, lift your hips up, switch your buttocks on, get your pubic bone up nice and high, knees are sending away above your ankles, rib cage is soft and relaxed, shoulders, collarbone nice and relaxed, and then coming straight back down, pushing down through the feet, open up the front of the hips and drop down all the way. Wonderful. Let's stay up at the top. The feet are parallel, hip width apart at the moment. Lift the heels up. Bring your heels together, so turning the legs out as we did in standing, into a first position, probably more of a Pilates first now than a full turn out in the legs. So your knees are over your toes, your heels are squeezing together. That means the front of the hips open up a little bit, so maybe get those hips up a little bit higher. Now switch on and switch off at your gluteal fold, so the crease of your bottom, and every time you switch those muscles on, squeeze your heels together. So a very good strengthening exercise for the glutes, for the backs of the legs, hamstrings, buttocks. Squeezing those heels together each time as well. It makes all the difference. At least 10 of these if you can. Wonderful. In order to come back down, let's release the heels, lift the heels up, place them down. Now this time take a reverse peel down through your spine. Once you're down there, you might feel like you just want to hug those knees in. Maybe take a little circle both directions with both knees. Nice massage on your lower back. Wonderful. Let's lie on our sides. Another great hip strengthening exercise. Side lying with both legs bent. So line your back up, line your heels up, your butt, your spine, your shoulder with the back edge of your mat, or just make sure that's in a nice straight line if you can. Underneath arm, the palm is turned up, and we're just going to start by lifting and lowering. No, let's do this first, sorry. Let's keep the heels squeezing together again, and just lift the top leg and lower it. So this is called clams. Lifting and lowering the top leg. Try and squeeze your heels together all the way through. And almost try and resist. So lifting the knee up is quite strong anyway. But when you lower, don't just let gravity, just let that leg collapse back down again. Almost resist. Keep the pressure through the heels all the way through. This top hip needs to stay absolutely still and stacked on top of the other one. Your waist is lifted from the mat. Good, so we're rotating the leg in the hip socket. We're rotating that thigh bone. Well, now we're going to lift and lower the leg in the same shape as the underneath leg. So I call this a mirror image. Top leg is mirroring the underneath leg. You know you've got this right when your knee and your foot land on the underneath leg at the same time. If you're still rotating a little bit, your foot might land before your knee, or the other way. Knee might land before the foot. Lift and lower to the same height. Check when your leg is at the top, especially up in the air, that you haven't lost your waist. So you're not tilting the pelvis each time, keeping everything still, making the muscles work. Last exercise here. You should be feeling some good work in that buttock. I call this a figure of 8. It's like it's like a figure of 8. So you're going to drop the top knee in, the foot goes up, top foot down, the knee goes up. I think of it like a figure of 8, a sort of very shallow figure of 8 with that I'm drawing with that knee. The important movement was it's important to keep your hips really still. As always, get as much movement in both directions as you can, but actually the internal rotation, this one, when the knee drops down and the foot is lifted, is the most important. Really try and focus on that one if you can. Wonderful. Good work. Let's lie on our backs just to stretch that side out before we go over to the other side. So I'm just going to take the foot across my other knee. Now that hasn't been too bad for me today, but sometimes that buttock that we were just working gets really cramped up, and even just from here I can feel a stretch already. Today I'm not too bad. Maybe it's because I did a load of hip work yesterday, I'm not sure. But this feels quite nice as well, just to let my legs rock from side to side, roll from side to side. So if you're already getting a stretch here, that's fine, stay here. If you can, lift that other leg up,
Put one hand through the gap, interlace the hands behind the knee, hold that there. Let's circle the foot that's in the air if you're here. So this can be done by just placing that foot on a chair, on the wall, on a cushion maybe, and just holding it there if you can't actually physically get hold of the back of that knee. And then finishing off, taking hold of that top foot, draw it down quite close to your body if you can. Pull the other knee in using your muscles. That increases the stretch. And then circle the legs around, sort of fixing them in that position. And you will feel lots of stretching going on in all different directions. Great. Let's roll over, or let's sit ourselves up and put the legs at the other side. Wall on the other side. So underneath, palm turned up, keeping that shoulder down, hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, feet are in line. Placing the hand on that top hip just to really make sure it stays still, noticing the difference. So this is my tighter side on my hips. It feels like this leg isn't going, the knee isn't going anywhere near as high on this side. But I don't want to let my hips roll to compensate and let that happen, so that would be cheating. Keeping the waist lifted, squeezing the heels together, trying to resist the lowering. Keeping the head in the correct position. Imagine you're standing, you're looking forwards. Great, let's lift and lower in the mirror image. No change in this hip, no change in the waist. Foot and knee landing at the same time, lifting to the same height, parallel to the floor. So this is an abduction, not a rotation. Starting to feel some strong work in this top buttock. And then dropping the knee down, foot is up, dropping the foot down, lifting the knee. Keep hold of that top hip. It's like you're just brushing. You're brushing knee to knee, you're brushing toe to toe, or toe to heel actually. Just to be really pedantic. Torso is staying the same. Hips are clunking somewhat. Great, rolling over onto your back, stretching all of that out. So a bit tight on this side, so I can already feel quite not too strong, but I can already feel a good stretch here. And then it just feels nice to just let those legs rock from side to side. So massaging the buttocks a little bit, massaging the lower back, getting a nice rotation going, and then lifting the leg. Now that feels really strong. Holding behind the knee if you can, circling the other foot, which is partly just to distract you from the strong stretch there. And breathe. Great, increasing that stretch by pulling the foot, oh dear, down towards the body. Draw the knee in more. Pushing the side that you're stretching, push that knee away using your muscles, and then we're circling. Ooh, circling the legs around. 3 times in one direction, 3 times in the other. Allow that lower back to be massaged. Ooh, that was strong today. Brilliant. Rolling over onto your side, sitting yourself up. Good. We're going to finish off with some prone, a little hover, a little bit of strength work on the prone side of things. So you're lying on your tummy. You're going to have your hands directly underneath your shoulders. And your legs are hip width apart. And you're going to, if you can, keep those hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your elbows in, and you're just going to push down through your hands and lift your rib cage and your torso. So I've curled my toes under, but I'm actually coming up onto my knees and my hands by pushing down and holding. So if this isn't something that you can do today, I would like you to just put your forehead on the back of your hands and just pull your belly button away from the mat and then relax. I'm exaggerating that, as you can see my lower back really lifting up. But I'm actively drawing my belly button away from the mat. Legs can be more relaxed if you're doing this one. And just hold it there. And maybe try and push down a little bit on those elbows so that you're just lifting and hovering the whole of your torso off of the chest a little bit. If you can, for this one, take it up a little bit further, up a notch, by pushing down on your hands, drawing your belly button away, coming up onto your knees. You probably can't see with my clothing today, but I am actually hovering my whole body an inch off the floor. Keep the back of the neck nice and relaxed, chin tucked in. An alternative, another arm position alternative, would be to sort of hug your arms in and then push down on your forearms. So you're going to lift your chest up more, but I'm not lifting up here. I'm pushing down. So there's maybe a little bit more pressure on my elbows than my fists, if that makes sense. And again, whole body is hovering off. Grand finale, the hardest one of this, if you can, hands underneath the shoulders, legs nice and wide, curl the toes under, just pushing down and hovering the whole body. Might even find this a little bit easier. So my hips are off as well, strong on that upper body, everything's shaking a little bit. Oh dear. Wonderful. Okay, here's another thing along the same sort of lines. We're just going to finish up with, so coming into some back extension. So the lowest level of this is just coming up into your Sphinx. So elbows underneath the shoulders, lifting up. Feel like you're making that crease in that upper body as we did earlier on in class. And then coming back down again, coming up, and then just starting to extend the arms a little bit more, if that's comfortable for you. Come down, elbows first, and then lower. You might just play about with where the hands are. You might want to take the hands a little bit further forwards. Keeping attention, keep pulling the belly button in towards your spine. Keep that pelvic floor slightly lifted, so you don't want to feel compressed in the lower back. Coming down through your upper back. Then from there, let's push up and back. So hands underneath the shoulders again. You're going to come up onto your knees. You're sort of taking a reverse press up and then taking the hips all the way back onto the heels. From here, we're going to take a big snake-thru. So I'm going to show you the biggest version of this first of all, and then I'll show you easier ones and smaller ones if you want to. So we're here. Here's the biggest version. Nose along the floor, elbows nice and wide, hips along the floor, up into your full Cobra. So my pelvis is lifted off the mat, lowering down, chest all the way down, lift the hips to go all the way back. So biggest version.
All the way along the floor, lifting, lowering down and lift the hips to go back. Not so big. You could come through until you need to relax your body on the floor. You could lift up as much as higher or not as you want to. You can lower back down. You can just come up as we just did. Lifting, hips up first. So just like a press up, basically. A reverse press up and then come all the way back. You could even come forwards and lower yourself down that way. And then lift up, lower yourself down, push up and come back. Whatever version suits you today. Couple more if you can. Could maybe come over that way. All the way through and roll back. So let's take this on into some sit bone circles actually. So come up onto all fours. So let's tuck the pelvis under, really nice stretch out for the lower back. Stay tucked under, take the hips back towards the heels. Then have a little swoop through and tuck under again. Stay tucked under, take the hips back and swoop through, releasing that spine. Tuck under, last one in this direction. Swoop through, now reverse, lower, take the hips back, then tuck under to come over, bending the arms. Reverse the movement on the pelvis. One more, if you can, all the way there. Fantastic. Let's finish with those toes together, knees nice and wide, arms wide, and take a slightly mad sway from side to side, finishing on a rhyme today. Breathe, relax. Whew, and a job well done. And then rolling up through the spine. Head's the last thing up. Hair's a mess, but who cares? We worked hard and hopefully had fun. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again soon.